Welcome everyone. My name is Bastian. A lot of you guys know me as Honcho Mindset on IG. Um, just want to welcome everyone to today's episode of Beyond Your Beliefs. So today we are actually going to go over a really interesting topic, feeding off of what we previously gone on. Um, we were talking about the different levels of consciousness last time with Matthew. And you guys know, as always, accompany me on every single episode here, back to back. Matthew, thank you for being here today, bro.
Yes, sir, brother. Grateful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, yeah, different levels of consciousness, right? So, um, one of the cool things we talked about last time, and a lot of things that I didn't know while looking at this scale here, was I really sat there and thought about where I was a year ago, and I started building up because I honestly had a really hard time. And I don't know if this happened to anybody that listened to our previous episode, but I had a difficult time understanding where I'm at currently and given on these levels. Okay, so when as I'm looking at these, um, I was just like, man, like how or where would I put myself or label? Because I just couldn't see myself in just one level consistently. So I went back instead and I did it this way. I went instead I instead what I did do is I looked at myself a year ago, and then I asked myself, okay, so a year ago today, where am I at? And so it's weird, and it's kind of weird. It's in our it's in a lot of our level of thinking to judge a moment, a thing, an object, or a person, even. Um, and so I found it a lot easier to see my previous self, to look back at my previous self than it was to look at myself now. That says a lot, right, about where I'm at. And so when I was looking at myself a year ago, I would say I was in high levels of pride, very high levels of pride. Yeah, I would say I'm definitely a year ago found myself very ego driven. Even I would even say I was in that level for man. I want to say I was at that level of pride for, and that's like about below midpoint for anybody that didn't follow that previous episode. Building up the scale, so I found myself at least below midpoint, very prideful for at least like 2 or 3 years. It came with a lot of anger building up to it. And a lot of it followed up with a lot of anger. So I took a couple steps back, and moving forward as I scaled up, I did fall back and started. I would say anger was one thing that really fell into my life. Anger at myself, anger at the world, right? And as I move forward into that timeline, when I feel like I skipped that prideful moment because I already had lived it, and it took a courage. I took the courage to move forward. So now looking at the scale, I felt I felt when for example, I joined Abundant Capital, I took the courage to leave what I was doing before. So I was studying previous content from another source, and I was doing that for quite some time, right? And so I changed my approach to my career path, my career choice, or what I was doing, my goals, and I took it in a more less prideful and ego driven and material driven. And one of the signs that came to me is like now I'm not so materialistic. Like I can tell you 2 years ago I really did care what was on my shoes, what was on like what was on my shirt, whatever, brands and all that. So one of the big signs of that I feel like it moved me forward was humbleness and taking that courage to move without any attachment to material things, right? So I felt very. This was I'm talking about like a year ago, maybe like 6 month window. So I personally feel like I've been sitting at this level for a while, and it's where I'm currently at, and I feel neutral. Um, I feel very neutral, and I feel like I'm moving forward from this now. So I feel very neutral in life. I'm very content with where I'm at. I love what I do, but I am aware that there's more to do. Right? There's more to get done, and so I feel like I've been chilling on neutral for a little bit too long, and so now time to move forward to willingness. Right? So my 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 question, one of my questions to you, Matthew, is as someone who is looking to move forward on this scale, okay, um, how important would you say is to understand where you're currently at, right? And how would you how would you approach the awareness? How have you approached that level of awareness as to seeing where you're currently at?
Yeah, so I feel like it's the most important thing, is self-awareness, right? Really knowing where you are. Um, like we're very, of course, optimistic, a lot of positive energy and stuff, but we're realists at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Like we definitely, want to be aware of where we are. Because at the end of the day, it's us, like you can't really lie to yourself. Like you got to really be honest about like where it is that you are, and acknowledge where it is that you've been and where it is that you really want to be. Because bringing awareness to the spectrum, it allows you to see all the different levels, and you can resonate with all of them, of course. And it's like where it is you truly want to be. So it kind of goes back to like when with having goals and stuff, and really just knowing the experience that you're experiencing is where you're resonating. And it's like as you get closer to certain things, like let's say like for me, there were so many times where like I had like a desire for something, right, which is like again below the scale. And it was like, but I never knew what that was like. I never, the things that I desired, it was so far away because I never knew what that was like to experience it. But the closer you get to these things, the more real it becomes. So for me, it was like surrounding myself with people who were really operating on a higher level of the scale. I felt like really had a huge influence in helping me understand and really feel like, wow, like I want to feel this way. Like I want to really see the world this way. So I was really stuck in pride for a long time as well. Really just feeling like, oh, like I got access to this information. Like I know it. Like I'm young. Like I'm him. But it's like in reality, like this none of this information or anything really belongs to us. So it's really like seeing it from a higher purpose. So like for me, it was surrounding myself with people who I perceived as enlightened individuals. People who, again, we talk about an enlightened self-interest. People who really were here to serve. I felt like pulled me out of that pride and ego stage where it was like, look, bro, like this just not about you. Like it's really like it's much bigger than us. And I was like,
yeah,
wow, so I feel like definitely all this whole scale is really self-awareness. It's really just being able to take a look at where you are. That's why they have the level, the emotion, and the life view. So as you go through the scale, you could really be honest with yourself and see where it is that you are. And again, like you could back test. And the thing about this scale is I noticed that like we fluctuate, just like anything else, like we fluctuate. So like I don't feel like it's linear. Like you're just gonna go from maybe starting from the bottom up, like all the way to alignment, and you stay there. Like I've definitely experienced this entire scale, like so many moments and times where you just feel it's ineffable. Like you feel like you're super enlightened and everything just is, and you feel a lot of peace, you feel complete. And then something could happen, or like there may be an internal experience or something that you're experiencing
yeah,
that'll like you'll distribute, you'll be coming down in that bearish counter trend. But it's up to you to like be aware of like, okay, this is where I am, and
yeah.
it's like I know where I can go. So like it really is just understanding that you're in full control of where it is that you want to be. So to be completely honest, right now I feel like where I'm at is at a level of understanding. After acceptance and forgiveness, I feel like especially recently over this past year, there's been a lot of amazing things that have happened. There's been a lot of like tragic things that have happened, and it's like you could really get clouded or like kind of thrown off course of just things that get thrown at you. but I guess it's really not like what happens. It's kind of how you respond to what happens. So
Mm.
life happens, and like there may be things that will throw you on a certain point of the scale, but it's really up to us to take control and get ourselves to where it is that we want to be. So yeah, I feel like obviously if anybody hasn't watched the last episode, you know, going over the entire scale,
Yeah, facts.
um yeah,
Reason.
so I feel like as of right now things are very meaningful. I've learned to accept a lot of things, and I'm starting to, you know, gain more and more understanding of, you know, why things are the way they are. So yeah, I feel like it's just knowing where you are. You got to look at the scale and really just be honest about where you're at.
Sorry, that other light was hurting my eyes, but yeah, I agree with you 100%, bro. Revisit that previous episode. Going back, I'm looking down at this right now. Going back, reviewing these different levels of awareness. I really truly believe that once I figured out where I was, it allowed me to figure my way into where I'm at, and where I need to, what I need, and it provides me more of like a step as to what I need to do to get me to that next level. So
Mm.
being aware of the next level really opened my eyes to more of an opportunity for growth. So yeah, no, thank you for sharing that with me. So now, where do you feel like you're at currently on the scale?
Yeah, so I was just saying, I feel like I'm at reason, you know. I feel like I've, you know, I was at a neutral phase for a long time as well, where it was just like, cool, like
Yeah,
things aren't bothering me. I'm just neutral. Like I'm creating, like it's cool, you know, like I'm satisfied, like I feel like I'm in control, you know.
yeah,
And then it's like, okay, well there's more, like you said. So it's like
yeah,
let me, you know, put more into it. And then it's like, you know, as you like gain that courage to like do way more, you know, you'll definitely experience some resistance, you know, because you're going to another level. So it's like
yeah,
you may need to hit something a few times before you get through it. So it's like in between like willingness and acceptance, I feel like is a lot of like failures, you know, a lot of lessons, a lot of different experiencing the same thing over and over until it's like you finally get it. I feel like it's a real test of like really wanting to go through certain things, to experience certain things, because you have optimism, you're hopeful. And then when you experience something that may throw you off, for example, whatever, like you, whether it's with yourself or with other people or with other situations, it's accepting those things, right? So really developing like forgiveness for yourself
yeah,
and for other people or other situations. And really it's just like at that point you're in like a harmonious frequency, you know. Now that's kind of where you're operating, like you understand like, okay, I'm in control, but there's other factors at play. Regardless of those factors, I have to accept that that's just how it is. Like there's like it's not just me that control the world. There's other things that are out here, you know, that have an effect. So it's really like accepting those things, forgiving whatever it is, yourself, other experiences, and then your view in life is really harmonious because you're like, okay, everything has its purpose. Like it's accepting, like, okay, that wouldn't, you know, exist without this. This wouldn't happen without that. Like there
yeah,
has to be this in order for this to happen. Like
yeah,
so
exactly.
it's just what comes with it. So like after that acceptance phase, it's like, okay, like, you know, like for example, say no risk, no reward. So it's kind of like you accept, you like you have more acceptance of like, okay, like that's just what comes with this.
Yeah,
And after that, it's like you just develop more reason, you know, understanding. Then it's like, okay, it becomes more meaningful because then you really start to think about the things that you do and like why you do them, because you're starting to understand more and more of cause and effect. You know, it's not like we're a victim anymore. It's like, okay, you accepted like everything I do has an effect on everything, but it's like now you're like really using your reasoning mind, which is to really think about why you're doing certain things. And your emotion is your understanding of it. And it just becomes more meaningful. So I would say that's really where I am. I've definitely experienced, obviously, a lot of love, joy, peace, and enlightening moments. But I would say like, those are like very high moments for me. But on a base, I would say um, it would definitely be reason and understanding.
Reason and understanding. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's very meaningful. So my view on life is like, I look at like I don't know, I look at the sunrise, and I'm like, wow, but it's like anything else, it's like spending time with family, like it's meaningful. Like I understand the importance and the value of that. And yeah, I feel like I've just accepted certain things. I feel like certain things are just more meaningful to me now. Before I didn't really care, but now I'm
Yeah.
really like, okay, like this is actually pretty meaningful.
Do you ever look back at your goal card and I'd say like I know over the boot camp we had a boot camp. For those of you who don't know, we had our 2022 boot camp for Abundant Capital in Joshua Tree just last weekend. So that's why we haven't really been on for the past 2 weeks, but I appreciate everyone's patience. And so we wrote down our goal card, and when I rewrote my goal card that day, I came back home and I looked at my journal entries because I didn't have a previous goal card, but I have had different journal entries with my goals. And so I went back and I started looking at my like the way I used to think, and I'm like, wow, like life has really humbled me. One of the most humbling experiences ever is trading itself. So, I mean, but life itself has really humbled me to the point where materialistic things that really, like you said, don't really matter anymore. Like those things just are there, and they cannot be. And my level of happiness should not be dependent on the is or absence of that thing. So it's just pretty interesting how the more you gain, the more you leave yourself susceptible to losing, right? But it's what they say. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this term, is living without any burden of attachment,
Mhm.
right? And so what I've learned over the period of time is that it's being unattached doesn't necessarily mean you're heartless or emotionless, right? It's being an emotional person that you are, being around all these things that you at one point may want or desired, but having not leaving those not allowing those things to have any power over you, like having those things, those nice things, being able to like upgrade your home, your wardrobe, your car, all these things, being able to have all those things but holding no attachment to it. And the closer you are to those things, the the more aware of not holding attachment to those will bring you happiness. Because I mean, the moment those things are gone, I mean, I think my biggest realization was when I was a warehouse manager, and I'll bring it back to that a couple of times. When I was a warehouse manager, it got on my head, and so when that was gone, I felt like I lost a good chunk of like my day, my schedule, my life, and I was like, damn. But I held significance to it, but at the same time, I was like, man, I held a bigger significance to trading. And because trading was there, I was able to, not really like, not really be hurt because I wasn't so attached to this life as much as I was attached to the trading. And now I looked at it as an opportunity to grow. And it was I guess my attachment to trading itself, which then led to over trading, but that's another story. But you know what I mean? But it was just like the, the detachment of having something of greater value to you, but having no attachment to it, not allowing it to hold this power over you, because your significance is what leaves you vulnerable at the end of the day. Like what you hold dear to you, right? So like love. That's why they say fall in love, because you fall into something that leaves you vulnerable, open, right? And so it's just pretty interesting. Like when you allow something to be significant to you, you also simultaneously allowing yourself to be open for pain and hurt. So I don't know. I just wanted to touch on that. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, life is very fragile, like
Yeah.
especially when you're in the moment, like, like
Yeah.
some people would just feel like, they'll be in the best moment, like anything, but like God is, I believe God is real, and like there's just certain things that, sometimes the universe is just like it's time for something to happen, whether it's
Yeah.
perceive it to be good or bad, everything just like again, it's like not what happens, it's how we're responding to what happens. So I feel like that's very true, bro, what you said. Like it goes back to the mindset of being connected to everything but attached to nothing, because when you
Mhm.
attach yourself to something, if that were to be taken away from you, like it could destroy someone, because they're so attached to that they feel like they can't live without it, or they feel like their identity is solely based off of that thing or a couple of things. So it's really like understanding like kind of who we are without having to say like our name, like where we're from, like what we do, like all those things, or like
Yeah.
even like associating ourselves with like our family and stuff. It's like at the end of the day, like we are all, energy, and it's like, what are we? Who are we? So that's like a whole nother conversation. But
Yeah.
it really is like the more attached we get to things, the more susceptible to pain we really are. Because attachment leads to suffering. Like that's
Yeah.
the little thing. So yeah, I feel like as we
That's
like level up, like the things that become more meaningful, essentially like you're getting more emotionally involved with those things. So I kind of feel like, yeah, I feel like it's an interesting concept, because
yeah.
things mean a lot to you. So
Mhm.
it's like I feel like pain, just like beauty, or not even beauty, just love. Like let's talk about the word love, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
like love isn't always super beautiful rainbows and flowers. Like love is also pain. Like it's just like there's polarity in it.
Yeah.
Like it's not always,
Leave
just
you
like
so vulnerable.
yeah, just like success. Like success isn't always just like winning and stuff. Like you'll take some of the most like wildest like losses, like
Yeah.
but again, that's what builds success. And just like love is like that's what builds love, is just those
The
experiences,
risk. Yeah.
loss, pain, all that stuff. But
Uh-huh.
at the end of the day, it's like I guess there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? So
It's all those losses and that really, for example, I mean, for me at least, it's like it's all those moments, those really hard moments. Sadly, right? It's all those really hard moments that really push me back to like remembering what matters to me, what I truly love, and what I just want, and separating the two. And I don't know. It's just what you said. Yeah, love is a powerful driver,
mm,
and motivator, and a powerful motive and objective. We were talking about this at the boot camp. Remember when we said it's like there's four pillars to happiness, right?
mhm,
Number one is health.
yeah,
Number one always health. And it goes in this order to me. Taking care of yourself, health. Number two, wealth. Okay, being at peace, at ease. And then wealth doesn't necessarily have to mean you're rich, but just stress free. Okay, worry free. Okay, and that in essence will open a new door, a big door opportunities for number three, which is love,
mm.
right? Love, and for me, it goes in that order for that same reason. What is the number one reason people will divorce, get a divorce?
Money.
Is financial. Nobody, people avoid that financial conversation, right? So money, finances, and so if you want to have number three, right? Number three is your peaceful making, right? Your number four is peace, but number three, if you want to have number three, I feel like it's very important to get number one and two down. Number one allows you to focus on yourself, health, focus on you, what you need first, how you can support yourself, bring yourself up, Your mental health is important. Your psychology is super important. Self development, daily self development, growth, 1%. That's all you need. Um, is important, and that brings self awareness. So number one, self awareness. This will allow you to know number three, right? Know the type of person that you want to be with, and your compatibility. If you know and can love yourself truly, then you can love another being. So number two, right? Wealth being the stress reliever. So you can't, money can't buy you happiness, right? But it most certainly, the absence of money can most certainly bring unhappiness. Right? So number three, I feel like number two and one and two are important if you want to live a long, peaceful number three, or a very strong and making a powerful number three, right? So number four is peace, having a peace of mind. Peace of mind is important. Well, me as a trader, and I'm pretty sure Matthew can relate to this as well. Peace of mind is important while trading. If I don't have that peace of mind, I got other things like screaming in the back of my mind from external world. I can't bring that stuff here. So it's a no go. It's a self check before going into the charts. It's like a self check. Today's just not the day. If I'm like slumped and I'm tired, this is not the day to trade. My mentality is just not there, right? The awareness has to be there. So, anyways, it just brought me to that love, right? Because it's like once you find love, then peace. Like you find the all first three, the peace of mind is so achievable. It's just there. It happens, like unwillingly. Like it just happens. It's a happening. It's just a piece. So, anyways, I thought that was cool, but
That makes total sense in that order. And it literally
yeah.
it actually aligns with the scale too. So
Right? So
yeah.
look at that. So it's cool. Yeah. So anyways, guys, we're going to wrap it up right there. Matthew, do you have anything else to say?
Um,
I think we did it. We went through
I think that's a good way to end it. What you said is like if there's anything you could take from moving up the scale, is number one, right? Focusing on your health, because obviously that's your self image, of yourself, and that's the most important thing to start with is your self image and how you view yourself, your self worth. I know for me, like the only moments where I've ever felt like super like down or like depressed or like anxious or stagnant, or when I felt like I was doing nothing productive, or I felt like I wasn't making any movement to improve myself and my self image, just like kind of paralyzed, just like in the same place, and you're just like, boom. So like anything you could do to improve your health, whether it's taking a walk, journaling, just being better with, hygiene, even getting haircuts more often or something, or just working out, literally anything, getting more sunlight, like things that are just healthy for you, listening to personal development, like really feeding and nourishing, like your mind, your body, and like your soul, like all of those things. Like, cause you start there, and then of course you're in a better mental state to what we understand principles of success when it comes to creating wealth is, it starts with your mind. So it's like mind, body, spirit, all those things, of course. Like, so again, what Bash said, right? Health, number one, leads into wealth, and then love and peace of mind is really comes full circle, right? So inevitably, like all of it just ties together. So I feel like, yeah, just take those steps. If there's anything that you could take from this, I feel like that's definitely it, and that and inevitably like just leads to a higher level of consciousness, right? Because in peace is literally right next to enlightenment. You're literally at the top of the scale. So yeah, good shit, bro.
I like that. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, guys, we're gonna wrap it up right there. Thank you guys for another great episode and being here today. Thank you, Matthew, for being here as always, bro. This has been a pleasure and honor being here, sharing this time and space with you. So, I wanted to ask you if you could do the outro, famous outro, and end the call there.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So again, guys, it is a pleasure. It's an honor, of course, sharing this time and space with each and every single one of you. As always, me and Bash were super grateful, for the opportunity to, you know, be here and just share with you guys, and just to really, you know, just to be here, honestly. So, you know, as always, you know, we want to remind you, right, that you can literally be, do, and have whatever it is that you want, right? Remember, you do not need to have something in order to do something so that you can finally be something, right? All you need to do is be that person who does the things that person does, and you will continue to experience everything that person has, right? Because we're creators, right? We create, you know, there's not things around us that are like pulling us and stuff. You're in full control.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, you know, as always, you know, we're sending y'all waves of peace, love, abundance, and creativity, right? Y'all clap easy, and yeah, you know, all the best, guys. Appreciate your time as
Have a
always.
good week, guys. Peace out.
Peace.